Hello, my name is Nicholas Polymenakos. I work behind the scenes here at NORWAC, social media teams, various other tasks. I am here with the coordinator and a speaker at NORWAC, Laura Nalbandian. Hello, Laura.
Hi, Nicholas. Yes, I am a coordinator. I am a speaker. I wear many hats. I am the owner. All those things are true.
And yes, they are true. And first off, you're speaking on Sunday in the Alki Room. The name of your lecture is Nourishing the Soul, Ceres in the Birth Charts. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I have to be honest. I was thinking about changing it a little bit, keeping it
Hmm.
series, but keeping it more. Well, let's start out with if I don't change it, what I'll be doing. I'll be looking at Ceres in the birth chart because Ceres deals with how we feed ourselves. And so for me as an evolutionary astrologer, I think about how does it work at a soul level. So I'm thinking about what nourishes our soul, what feeds us at the core of our level, at our core of our soul. And how do we at times inappropriately um, gorge and become addicted to elements or aspects of our lives, people, places, things that don't in fact nourish us, but we crave them nonetheless,
Hmm.
like craving sugar or caffeine. They don't do a great deal for us in the long run. They often feel good in the moment, right? And so I'll be talking about that in terms of what I think the soul is really striving for. What is it really calling for? What does it really need? How do we nourish ourselves at the core of our level? Again, I keep saying that, at the core of our soul.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping to be able to touch on the Ceres Pluto conjunction that happened back in January,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that's actually pretty big. It's what we're living through. Not only the Pluto Saturn conjunction, but I think that Ceres conjunction really speaks to what I'm trying to get at is, you know, we've been feeding ourselves, craving sort of the unhealthy shadow components of Capricorn. Um,
Hmm.
Capitalism, patriarchy, hierarchical structures, limitations, all the things that, that have come into place, these crystallized rules that we're all living under, which are in many ways keeping us safe. But on the other hand, they become crystallized, or they could become crystallized. So are we feeding ourselves with a false sense of security, which would be Saturn, Ceres and Capricorn, right? Are we
Mm-hmm.
feeding ourselves with a false sense of security? And what then would Ceres and Capricorn really be asking of us? What is it calling us to? What would really feed us collectively? So I'm hoping to get a bit more into that during the lecture. So,
It's what's come up to with me when you're talking about this. It's considering what's happening right now with COVID, and even getting like if more specific, just about food, like food in general. I think
yeah.
everyone's had the relationship with food like kind of jumbled a little bit here. How they're acquiring the food, what food they're putting into their body. They can't really go out. Some people have had to cook maybe more than they've been used
Oh
to.
gosh, yes.
Yeah, and if you're talking about stuff in the past too, like the industrialization of food
Yes.
coming here in the last century, and where
Yes.
it's gotten to this point, and there's a breakdown happening in our
Yes.
food system and how we acquire food. So I'm just saying that in conjunction with what you're saying, like with Ceres and what's happening now, it's very
No,
obvious. Yeah.
I think that's quite astute of you to make that correlation because our corporate Capricorn food system,
Hmm.
the structure is breaking down. We don't know what it's going to go, if it's going to go back. Uh, but I think that that's a good point, and I think I'll give it some thought. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a change happening,
Mm-hmm.
and I think everybody watching this right now, they're you mentioned like indulgence in the sense or whatever. Everyone's had their thing with bread and sugar, probably sitting at home, and the relation to consumption, what that means.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, thank you for telling us about that.
Sure.
I want to bring something up here because recently on the website norwac.net, you added an about section. And if any of you watching there, go to the website and click on the About section. And it's the About section. It says A Brief History of NORWAC. It says Northwest Astrological Conference was founded in 1984 by Margaret, known to all as Maggie Nalbandian. So how many years ago is that, 1984? I have to do some math
Well,
here,
that's
don't I?
36 years.
36 years. So 36 straight years of the conference?
Yeah, 36 straight years.
Um, in
Pretty
is
amazing.
yes, no, it's incredible. It's like it originated in Seattle. It's always been
Yeah,
in Seattle.
yes, yes,
Okay, just I'm asking you. If I think there's plenty of people here that are attending the conference from different parts of the world
all
who,
over.
yeah, who don't know. Like,
No,
and there was if we were in person, there would be people here for the first time coming who would see the dynamics of you and the rest of your family and how you. This is a family conference. It's
yeah.
so. Um, I'm also looking here. It says March 23rd, 1984, 12:45 p.m. Seattle, Washington. That's the basically the birth chart
Hmm.
of NORWAC. So, um, do you have any connection? I mean, obviously you have a connection to the chart, but is there anything you'd say about that? Like, I think it's a
It's
Leo
been a
rising.
long time since I've seen that chart. Do you have it? Can you share it?
I don't think I can on this one. I'm on a different computer, but I am gonna tell people they can go to the website and the birth data is there in the about section. And if I've done it correctly here, and I would normally do it another way, it's a Leo rising chart and it has an Aries sun. So okay, the Aries sun. Now this is usually Memorial Day weekend, the end of May.
It
Uh,
became Memorial Day weekend, but it
okay,
didn't start out that way. So
okay,
I'm typing in the first Norwalk. It was March 23rd, 1984 at 12:45 p.m.
correct.
And I put Seattle, but it was technically, I think, it was right near the airport, but Seattle will be
Okay.
close enough.
But
So,
that's where the conference is usually now, is right by the airport, interestingly
right,
enough.
but it was
Yeah.
right by the airport.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I think that it might have been a Sheraton right on the one of the landing strips. I mean,
Oh,
right off
wow.
of that.
Wow. Okay,
That
yeah.
that hotel no longer exists, of course.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, Leo rising. Mom wanted to put the sun near the top of the chart. She liked the Mercury and the Venus split. Excuse me, the Mercury and Sun split. The Sun is in the ninth, where she wanted it. Mercury up at the 10th.
Do you want to try sharing your screen really quick? Can you do it?
I can.
Let's do it.
Hang on.
Since we're here.
Let me put it in a big chart. Yeah. Since we're here.
Yeah, because if I'm correct, there's
You
gonna.
need to enable my screen share.
Okay, sure. Let's go. I think it says. I think you should be able to. Let's try it right now. Let's go
Okay.
right now.
Yep. So there it is.
Yes, there it is. Yeah, that's what I have. Hey, look what's next to the sun.
Ceres.
That's right. It's funny because I don't have that on my chart, but you have it. I'm like, wait a second. That's the first thing I saw. Wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
that year, Neptune was conjunct my natal Saturn. Jupiter was conjunct my natal Mercury. Mars was conjunct my natal Jupiter. Saturn was conjunct my natal Ceres. Pluto was conjunct my fourth house cusp. Mercury was conjunct my south node.
Hmm.
I'm seeing all these connections that are kind of blowing my mind that I haven't looked at this chart in a long time, but now I see the connection to my natal chart is huge.
Yeah, it's huge. The Capricorn planets, the Leo ascendant, just the cardinal that we see in the chart.
Right. And of
Uh,
course, they would have been the transits I was having at the time. Um, so, how very interesting is that? So, mom really, when she was picking dates and times, she would have focused putting the sun up near the top of the chart. Uh, we ended up for a lot of years with a Leo rising and a fourth house Pluto, which really created that kind of feeling of home and intimacy and bonding that happened,
yeah,
lifelong family connections, becoming kind of becoming part of the family.
yeah,
If you were interested, there are a lot of people that have come and gone in NORWAC, weren't interested in that type of energy, or maybe they moved in and out of astrology. Just, there's lots of people that, get interested in astrology. I don't understand it and then leave.
Right.
But in this, I think this described us pretty well.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the chart, and I I also think, and I've been around the conference because I've met you. You were my teacher. I
Right.
met you that way. I knew no one here in the Seattle area. So by going to the house and with other students on the couch, and your mom was there at the house
Yes.
and getting
Yep.
taught that way. And I remember you coming to me, and I didn't have money. I didn't know anybody in the community. Like, there's this conference, there's this thing happening. I'm like, what thing? And you helped me along with that because financial reasons to be a room monitor.
Right.
So that's how I entered the astrology world, and there's a lot that's happened to me. I mean, became an astrologer, and
Right.
helped, so on and so forth. And by the way, here I am now. I'm interviewing you for the conference that you're throwing. So, but the reason why I'm saying this, because I am one of many, many stories of different people, whether they've been to NORWAC every year or they've gone a couple of years at one time. Everyone has this an interesting story with NORWAC. They either met certain people there, they went for the first time and didn't know anybody, and within a year or 2 years later, they were speaking at the conference, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or the relationships with the vendors,
Mm-hmm.
right? The bookstore,
Right.
so on and so forth. So, for me, and I'm saying this for those watching, that even though we are not in person this year, and I want people to know a little bit of the history with you and your family to understand, how we've gotten to this point, and how this is pretty much the foundation, and still is, of the conference.
It is.
So,
Mom had a vision of creating a different kind of conference. She wanted something where people could make their connections to one another, something that felt like a family gathering, something that felt like a place where you could belong, a place where you wouldn't get lost in the crowd of a larger conference. And a lot of the larger conferences and bigger organizational conferences often would separate the speakers away from the attendees.
mm-hmm.
And NORWAC never did that. Mom was absolutely adamant. A good moon in Aquarius, she wanted she wanted fairness for all. Nobody treated any differently. And she was, just this conference is special. I mean, it's special to me. My children, my daughter was born in 83. My son was born in 84. They've been to every NORWAC conference. Uh, Children running around. My grandchildren started coming in 2015. And
Mm-hmm.
so, this will be the first year where they won't be here. Because for us to do this and have children running around would be a little intense.
Right.
So
Right.
next year we'll have them there, and everybody loves to see them, and they've watched my children grow.
Mm-hmm.
We've had 36 years of conferences and hundreds of speakers, and it's the kind of conference where pretty much everyone wants to speak. So it's a tough decision that I have to make to pare it down to 36 speakers, uh,
Mm-hmm.
35 to 36. And in the beginning, I think we had maybe a dozen, maybe 20. I don't think we
Huh.
had 20.
Hey, I'm gonna switch off this just so we
Yeah.
can see each other.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, yeah. So I mean, yeah. I just thank you. By the way, thank you for talking about that, and going there. And I know there's so much more.
Oh, there is.
There is, and I know that in the future when we're able to see each other in person, I think every single one of us, the people working there and attendees, are more than ever going to appreciate the fact that we could be in physical space with each
I
other.
think so. I
you
think
know
so.
but and one last thing I want to bring up here, to go back to something you said, because you mentioned how your mother wanted to create the dynamic that was different from other conferences where the speakers weren't separated from the attendees.
Mm-hmm.
And that is pretty much like been my experience. Now here we are here in a virtual conference, and we can't be with each other, but we do have some things in place at the conference where we still can share with each
Yep.
other, even not just within the lecture, but we will have breakout rooms.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have side breakout rooms. We will have our main ballroom where we have our keynotes. When there is not a keynote going on, that will be open for anyone to come in and meet whoever and talk and chat. And I know the opportunities will present themselves where you'll be able to, for those watching, have conversations and interactions with the speakers. So just want to say that. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
well, thanks for watching, everybody. I just want to remind anybody, if you're thinking about going to the conference, you can get the pass that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the main conference pass. With that pass, after the conference is done, you get to watch 50 plus lectures for 2 weeks. So after the conference is done, you have up to 2 weeks there to watch, that's 50 something lectures?
56.
56 lectures, which is unheard of. It's never been done before. The pre and the post conference lectures are not included. The workshops not included. But let's say you just want to go to a workshop. You don't have, you can't go to the conference. You could do that. Let's say you want to pick one day.
You can do that.
On the way, you can do that too. So we got many different options. Any information that you need to know about NORWAC is all available on the website, norwac.net. Well, Laura.
Thank you.
Yeah, good talking with you. And
Good talking with you.
Yeah.
I'll see you later.
See you later. See you at the conference, everybody.
Bye bye, everybody.
Bye.